Hello and welcome back to OT the podcast. We're here to talk about watches, time, and how to spend it. I'm Andy Green.
Me, I'm Felix Schultz.
Yes, you are. Felix, some watches were auctioned recently. What's been going on?
Well, yeah, it's what they refer to in the biz as auction season.
It is.
We'll get to that in a sec. There's been Only Watch. There's Philips, the big Philips ones. There's been a couple of other
Pink Dial auction.
Pink Dial stuff being sold everywhere, all over the shop. But before that, Andy Green, we got some mail.
We did.
We got sent some straps from Aussie-based strap makers Artem.
Yes.
And they've got a pretty unique offering. They do sailcloth straps, and I got to say, they do them very nicely. I'm holding one at the moment, and it is a cut above any aftermarket sailcloths I've seen. I'm just sort of I'm fondling it at the moment, trying to come up with words. So it's padded towards the lugs. It's got those sort of straightened edges, and not just like sewn off. It's been
stitched properly,
stitched around.
Quick release spring bar option on my ones.
I didn't get those. Rubber backing, which I like.
Yes.
I got one on the Whitetail Bremont with white stitching at the moment. It's a good fit. It's going to stay on there for a while. What do you think?
Yeah, so I got two for my vintage Tudor, so 20 mils, and I did the quick release just because it's just a bit easier, and I'm lazy. But I really like that rubber backing. It's comfortable. I've got the
that makes a difference.
This is a butterfly one, and I feel like there's like a magnet in it. But if you hear like that, like it's like got quite a like bit of latch energy to it.
I don't know. I don't do deployments anymore.
I don't know. I'm keen to try it. Keen to try it on the vintage Tudor that I've got.
Yeah.
But I went pretty, safe with my straps, just black on black.
Well, I mean, like I said, there's a limited offering, so they all seem to be black. I mean, maybe they have different color runs, but there's black with a range of other strap offerings. So I think, like, and the other sort of thing that they talk in is like the lack of a break-in period. I don't think it's still stiff, but it's not like a piece of thick cardboard, which I've had other sailcloth straps, and it really is. There is a break-in period, but the retail price, Andy, is USD 85 and up. So depending on what you can get some different buckles, all that sort of jam. So not the cheapest, but I think if you've got something nice that you will regularly wear, that sort of a bit more versatile, casual, hard-wearing sailcloth option on, solid option, Andy.
Yeah, and like if you hop on the website, you can see they offer different sizes, obviously different clasps. So like deployant or regular buckle, which has multiple finishings, which talks to the price point as well.
Yeah,
different stitch colors.
Yeah,
and of course the spring bar options, so you can get quick release.
I'm now regretting not having got quick release spring bars, but we will link that up in the show notes. We'll pop some pics up, all that sort of stuff. So thank you, Artem, for sending that over, and that was nifty.
Very nifty.
Something else that's been going on, Andy, is not auctions, but awards. The Grand Prix de Horlogerie de Genève,
GPHG,
announced all their winners recently, and it's an interesting bunch. And I think I don't necessarily want to go into the merits of all the winners, but Bulgari did well, MB&F did well. It seems this is a moderately spicy take, the sriracha of hot takes. I think people are cooling on the whole GPHG concept.
Yeah.
Like a few years ago, it was kind of like novel. Like maybe they employed a big marketing team to sort of rebrand
the Oscars of watches.
Yeah. And now I think we're sort of much like the Oscars and much like the big Hollywood awards, we're seeing a little bit more of the machinations that go on behind it. And we're sort of seeing... we're getting a little bit discontented with the results. And I think for me, that really crystallized in, I saw quite a number of prominent industry figures posting a picture of the best dive watch of the year, which was the Louis Vuitton Street Diver or something. Just questioning that, whether or not that really was the best dive watch of the year.
Well, I was involved in the early round of voting, Felix, so I can't comment.
Sure. Oh, wow. Yes. Okay. Fair enough.
It's certainly some interesting results.
Look, and I just think it is, these things have a cycle, and I wonder, it's never been a truly holistic award ceremony. No. Like, it
doesn't reflect the industry because there's so many brands that don't partake.
Yeah, and it works well. Like Bulgari have done phenomenally well out of it, I think, as a as a marketing tool. Like
Yes.
they've got their 7 world records or 8 world records or whatever it is, and X number of awards, and the Octo Finissimo has sort of
Killed it every year for like the last 4 years.
Yeah. Anyway,
Good on Bulgari.
speaking about award-winning watches,
Yes.
I don't know. I was trying to segue over to you, but I don't know if you have any award-winning watches on at the moment.
I'd give it an award. I'll give it the Andy Green Award 2021. My G-Shock.
Hang on, the Melbourne GPMG Grand Prix de Horologie de Melbourne, the jury of 2.
So G-Shock Australia.
Yep.
Proudly bring this episode of OT, Felix. As you might have heard from our last couple episodes, you talked about yours last week. Week before, we had Jonathan Notley, who is MC Bliss from Bliss and Esso. Today we have MC Andy on the mic. GM, and I'm talking about my GM 2100 series. Same watch as you with a slight twist. So I have the GM-2100B-4A, which is the spicy red dial variation. What can I tell you about it? It's probably my 10th G-Shock, Felix, and probably the 4th one this year. I've really been hitting G-Shock hard, getting some of their collab pieces, some of the regular production pieces like this. But, you talked last week and we've talked about straps already, but this strap is just so nice and so comfortable. I really love the detail on the underside. There's like a bit of ridging, which kind of gives it a nice sort of textured feel on the wrist. And then the outer has that nice sort of mesh kind of dot texturing to it, which if you're like me, and like I think there's plenty of people are in watches, but I just like kind of playing with that texture. It's very satisfying. It's a little heavier than other G-Shocks that I have. It's about 72 grams from memory. So, around the same weight that you would expect from like a steel dress watch on some sort of like leather strap or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
And that, obviously adds a nice amount of that premium feel.
Andy, I think you're burying the lead here, though. What about the color? Talk to me about that.
I mean, this red dial, Felix. So it's been treated with, I believe it's a vapor deposition finish.
Yeah, like a PVD thing.
Yeah, on the dial. So it's kind of got like a red grain down it with like red matching hands. And it is just, it's just like bursting out of the case. Like it is so vibrant, especially in the sun. I think I put a video up on Instagram kind of showing off this dial in the sun.
Yeah.
But it's like red alert. That's when I look at this, I just think like red alert.
Yeah, it reminds me, not having seen it IRL, it reminds me of kind of like mid-2000s video games. Like I'm thinking like Command and Conquer or something like that. Like that sort of...
Yeah, exactly. PC games from the 2000s. Yeah, I think red alert.
Yeah, well, there you go.
And and it looks really good in this case. So it's got that steel case with a nice finish to it. So it's a gunmetal grey paired with the red dial. It looks really cool. It's a little bit of an unusual take on a G-Shock for me, Felix. But this
statement.
And there's just so much detail. Like every time I look at it, I pick it up, I put it on. The detail is really cool, even down to the case. There's all these different sort of finishings, brushed, polished. It's a cool watch. So I'm just enjoying wearing it.
Quick question, so the one I've got is sort of I think I could be wrong. I think it looks like a grey sapphire. Is yours a red tint glass as well? Can you tell, or is it hard to?
I don't think it is. I think that the entire dial, including the hands and the hour markers, are red. Even down to like the backing of the LED screen is red.
Yeah.
But the crystal, I think, is just like a regular mineral crystal.
Well, now I'm questioning mine if mine's grey.
You might have fluffed that one up. It would be very cool. I mean,
it looks like it. That sort of, it doesn't matter if it is or not.
Yeah, like tinted sunglasses kind of vibes. But yeah,
what are we talking about RRP wise? About the same as mine.
Same price as yours. I got to mention this strap, right? It has quick release on the strap, a little pin.
Yeah.
Just thank you, G-Shock. Yeah, so I think it's about $550.
Yeah, and you've got enough other G-Shock straps that you can like swap it out.
You could do. Nice. Definitely. This is like, honestly, this must be like my 10th or 11th G-Shock. So yeah, big fans. We've done a bunch with them, so always appreciate the opportunity to work with them and wear their watches and speak to their awesome friends of.
Yeah, we'll have to link it up in the show notes again. You can check it out. And Andy, have we moved on those his and his couples watch yet? The
Christmas ones?
Yeah, we're doing that.
Might be a little surprise.
Okay,
in a couple of weeks for you. All right, before we talk about auctions, I want to talk about something else.
Oh, what do you got?
Because you need a lot of money to shop at these auctions.
Yes.
Per your insistence, I now have a binge subscription, which for our international listeners gives you access to like most of HBO shows.
How's Succession season 3 treating you?
No, I'm still rewatching season 1 and 2, so it just settled. But I have found joy watching a show called McMillions, which is a docuseries on the McDonald's Monopoly game from like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, like where you
there are little tabs on the drinks.
You get like you get a free I don't know, slushy or whatever it is. Like
most of it's like a burger, or you get enough pieces. But there was like $1 million tickets in the US. So I don't know if we had that here. I think it was here. It was like a car or something. But in the US, there was like $1 million tickets. It was like $250,000, 25K cards. Right. And this documentary like is about this fraud that happened 20 years ago, where I think it was one of the guys who worked at the marketing firm had set up this whole ring of basically rigging every single $1 million ticket winner. And I think the total fraud was like 50 people went to jail, and there was like nearly 20 million at the time. 20 million US at the time was sort of stolen through.
What was embezzled or whatever, fraud.
Yeah, which 20 years ago was probably double with inflation. Yeah, but it's just fascinating, and like there's like mob tie-ins, and like the head guy had like this like diagnosis where he was like really sick and like probably gonna die, so he was just like fuck it.
Wow, so Breaking Bad with burgers.
Yeah, it's like Breaking. It's just so like bizarre. And I was a kid. I think this all happened in like 2000, 2001. So I was like not even 10.
Yeah. I was finishing.
I have vivid memories of it, of this, this McDonald's thing. So it's very fascinating. And McDonald's, or there's the same woman who worked at McDonald's then, like the communications team is still working there. So she shares her story. They've got like all the FBI agents, sharing their story, and it's a really elaborate way that they caught them.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Was it public, or did McDonald's like try and keep this quiet?
The investigation was private. So the way that they caught them is super interesting. Basically, there was like this FBI agent who was like really just like bored with doing. It was in Florida where like the office was, and it came up. But he was just bored of doing like the mundane work, and he saw this like post-it note that had a tip off about it. So like chased it up, and he came up with this elaborate scheme to become like a production company for McDonald's that filmed these winner stories, and effectively got them to like admit to where they got
to sign stuff.
Yeah, like sign stuff. Like, oh, this is the store that I went to claim my prize. This is where I bought it, and they were basically like admitting and on the record all of this stuff that was lies. And then
this is our affidavit release form that you have to
sign. Yeah. But like, so they have the FBI agents at the time and like the district attorney who prosecuted it, all sharing their stories, and it's just funny.
It's all on record as well. Oh, that's great. I'm going to check. I'm legitimately going to check that out.
It's really well done. Really well done. I think it appeared on HBO if you're in the States. Sure. So if it's on HBO, it's going to be great. But yeah, so if you did win $8 million McDonald's Monopoly ticket, maybe you could have bought a watch at the pink dial option that Loupe this did.
Yeah, well, not just Loupe this. So it's through Revolution. I think it's Revolution's sort of brainchild, and Loupe this and some other media companies around the world sort of got in to support it. But so that wrapped a couple of weeks ago, end of October. The final sum raised was a very impressive $526,803. I like that it was $803. I want to know where that came from. But so the shtick of this auction was that they were all unique watches, and they all featured a pink dial because the charity, it's going in support of various breast cancer charities.
Yeah, tremendous.
Do you know what is tremendous?
That one watch made up about a quarter of that $500,000.
And that watch, it blows my mind, was powered by a Miyota movement.
Wow.
Yeah.
$172,000.
Yeah. So this is the it's not really an MB&F watch, but it's the Mad Edition, Mad One for the Pink Dial project. So that was the watch that looks like a fidget spinner on the wrist that MB&F made for like their friends and their good clients and collaborators, and everyone sort of tried to get them, and was unable to. The retail price was like a couple of $1,000. Well, someone got one, and they spent a lot of money on it.
172,000 US.
Yeah, wild. A big jump. Midway through the auction, it was like at 70 or 80, and then it just.
Well, I think it's the most bid. So it had 115 bids, which is pretty.
Isn't that nuts? That's
nuts. Someone really wanted it.
Yeah, I don't. Who knows? I mean, I find auctions endlessly fascinating, and we're about to run through some lots now.
Can I ask you, what was your favourite from this pink dial project?
Oh, that's a very good question. I did like the Bulgari that was like the black ceramic Octo Finissimo with just the pink second hands. Anne Ordain had a nice pink one. It's
Very
sort of
lovely.
like I think it's their Model 3. Like it's a
Model
new,
3.
like
The
sort of
linen enamel dial.
wiry lugs and linen enamel. What else did I like? There was some cool stuff there. Oh, of course, the Baltic. I mean, that's a that would have done well. I don't have the results in front of me, but it was sort
10,200 for the Baltic.
a salmon pink dial, so a different sort of take on it.
The Zenith cover girl, the Chronomaster cover girl, was pretty cool.
Yes, that would have achieved some solid,
32K.
Yeah, I mean, pink's hot. I love a good pink dial.
Yeah, of course. Julie Crowless
I had that go
in there. 2,200, which is solid.
Yeah,
cool. Very solid.
You've got that print coming.
I haven't got it framed. I got to get over to the printer. I'll get there.
Yeah, I'm getting some. I'm going to get some printing done too. Anyway, pink auctions, not the only thing sold at auctions. There's another one in the recent Philips Geneva auctions. Most expensive Speedmaster ever sold.
Wowee.
Omega Broad Arrow reference 2915-1. It's a broad arrow speedy with a very nice brown tropical dial, very clean as you'd expect. Hasn't even been to space, Andy. Hasn't been to space. How much do you think it sold for? How much do you actually no? How much do you think it would sell for before the auction?
I would have thought this is like a 400K watch.
Sure. We were a bit wrong, Andy. Swiss francs, 3,115,500.
Holy fudge. What was the estimate?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't have it up.
Was it Sotheby's that sold this? I'm going to quickly look it
Philips,
up.
I think. So, but as Paul Boutros I think was the guy consigning it, when it was brought in, it was immediately clear that to the Geneva team that it will break a record for any 2915 because of the quality. It recommended to top clients for its outstanding quality, fantastic aesthetics, and historic relevance.
Yeah, but like, wowee.
Sold to a fair bit of bidding from the Middle East, America, Hong Kong. In the end, went to a Chinese buyer.
It's incredible. That is, I mean, we've seen more. Not expensive watches, but
anyway, this is the taste, and I want to ask you at the end of these, Andy. So maybe do some forethinking. What would you like if you had to put down money? Like, say you've got some extravagant, succession style family trust situation going on. You don't have to worry about money too much. Which one are you buying? Like, which one do you think has the most merit and all that sort of stuff? So think about that.
Okay.
Next up, another Philips auction, a Dufour.
Okay.
Philippe Dufour, a Grand Sonnerie wristwatch.
Sorry, before you go there,
the
estimate on this Omega
go.
Was 80,000 to 120,000 Swiss francs.
Sure. Yep, they lowballed that one.
Oh.
So this is a unique, incredibly well-made, historically important two-train, minute-repeating Grand and Petite Sonnerie wristwatch with a hinged case in yellow gold and an enamel dial bearing movement number 1. 41 mil diameter. Now, the big deal about this, A, it's Philippe Dufour. B, it is the first ever watch to incorporate Grand and Petite Sonnerie in a wristwatch. Pocket watches before, and it's miniaturized, and 41 millimeters is a phenomenally small size to be able to achieve something like that. 4 examples with an enamel dial. Only one, I think, with this particular dial color combination. Sold for 5.2 million USD.
Sheesh.
I mean, that's like,
Dufour though.
Dufour's got form. Like,
it's pretty standard for him to sell a couple $1 million for a
watch. And I mean, you compare that to that Omega. One of them's got a fairly incredible, handmade, everything's handmade. The other one's got a, Venus caliber in it, or whatever it is.
It's a very well-aged watch. Like that enamel dial.
Yeah.
In case is beautifully aged for.
And we should. So SJX has some lovely shots. Like even the case is handmade. Like you can see the hand soldering. You can see all that sort of. It's just phenomenal. Like, have you ever held a Philippe Dufour watch?
No, I have not.
Yeah, I've briefly. It's one of my regrets. Like I was at a dinner and there was someone there with Simplicity.
Wow.
But this was when phones took photos like potatoes.
Ah, yes. I think you've sent me this photo.
I don't think I've even got a photo of it. I've got there's like
I think it's
there's a
on your Twitter. I think if you go deep on your old Twitter,
oh shit
you might have tweeted or
my old
Instagram.
Instagram there's a lot of wild watches I have hung out with when they weren't wild watches.
Yeah.
Like this was like, oh, that's nice. That's like what, a 50K watch? Oh yeah, got a Simplicity. Cool, great.
Yeah. Nice Paul Newman Daytona. What's that?
Oh yeah. I do wonder what they're up to. It's like that. I put it on my Instagram, and I've never had so much feedback on an
Yeah.
Instagram story about someone. I just found an email from like 2012 saying, "Oh, just hope you don't mind me sending this out, but I've got a mate selling a FP Journe chronometer blue for 16K." Like,
Oh.
like he's like, I think it was under retail because it was
Yeah, I think retail's like 20. I mean, I had a mate who accidentally bought two. So he had two people who was trying to buy one off, and he ended up having to take both at about 25K Aussie. And he was like bummed out that he was going to like lose a bit of money.
Did he keep them both, or did he flip
selling
one?
one? Nah, I think he probably sold them both, but like I think they're like what 100K or 120K now. Like,
yeah,
it's
you see
just
him on Chrono for like 150.
mental,
Yeah,
mental to think this guy had like two, and yeah, everyone was trying to sell them for more or less a loss. Like I think it was 5K less than retail. So
I got to think. Do you know when we shouldn't get upset about premium pricing?
when?
When it's for a charity auction.
Yes.
Which brings us neatly, Andy, to the latest installment of Only Watch.
Lovely.
So that also happened over the weekend, and it hammered in for a grand total of 32.1 million United States dollars, going towards Duchenne muscular dystrophy research.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some highlights.
Some big highlights. I think we can link up our episode where we talked through in detail. I think we talked through most of the watches earlier this year when they were announced. But yeah, that 32.1 million was consisted of some really big hitters. I think the first one to talk about, probably that FP Journe, the collab with Coppola that sold for 4.5 mil.
Yeah, they just gave the haters the finger.
I mean, I can't remember, but I don't think anyone actually had seen a real photo when they announced it of how it all worked. I think it was just a diagram, but it looks pretty cool. It's a cool watch. It's a cool function. It's
yeah,
a cool
that's
time
who doesn't want
display.
a medieval gauntlet telling the time.
Yeah, doing like the shaka sign.
That's at 420.
On, like, flipping the bird.
You missed my joke, didn't you?
Oh, 420.
That's Nicolas Cage is at the Coppolas. Nicolas Cage might well have bought it, actually. I'm sure he'll have one. That, by the way, is an Only Watch record for a air quotes indie brand.
Cool. Next
big one, Andy. Surprising absolutely no one. The AP Royal Oak 1520, is that right? Titanium and BMG case went for 3.1 million Swiss francs.
Yeah.
And basically, my understanding is that the guy bought it just so he could get the blue dialed from a boutique.
Oh, I'd hope he gets a skeleton for that. For that effort. What a champion.
Next up is always. I mean, really, you could put Only Watch down to the Pateks. Like the Pateks are pretty phenomenal there. This year around, it was very interesting because they didn't do a watch. They did quite a handsome desk clock that I was partial to. Unfortunately, I was not 9.5 million Swiss francs partial to it.
9.5 million short.
And interestingly, again, it's a very strong result for a desk clock, and it's a Patek, and it's unique, all that sort of jazz. A lot less than, say, the Grandmaster Chime a few years back, which sold for 31 million.
I remember this desk clock, so it says the only one on the front.
Yeah, it looks like a very sort of
so regal.
Yeah, it's like one of the based on the designs of like Packard or one of those sort of American tycoons from the 20s.
Stunning. Oh, John Reardon would have absolutely loved this.
Who knows?
Maybe you got it. 9.5.
I just think it's interesting to see the different way that watches and clocks are valued. Again,
I think it's interesting to see the way the brands present unique watches for these auctions. So with the pink dial project, it was do your take on a pink dial, and some people literally did a pink dial, and then some others did like touches, and then some did salmon.
Yeah.
And then for the only watch, it's just a real mixed bag.
I think
what the
Patek do
brand's
whatever
doing.
Patek want. To be fair, I mean, I'm sure the only watch guys go, "Hey, so we've got a bit of an orange theme this year. If you want to," and they're like, "Nah, we're going to do a weird ass desk clock." They're like, cool.
It's not, yeah.
Another standout, Andy, Baltic. This is a really fascinating brand, Baltic, and I'm just really interested in where they're going because they sold
Yeah.
a watch with a historic movement in it for $50K.
Golly.
I've got one on my desk that retails for $800.
Yeah, I got one in the closet. That's this is crazy. Estimate was 12 to 18,000, so they were aiming high already, but
I don't know what this is. I mean, it's a beautiful watch and it's really well made, and I really like Etienne Malik's sort of approach to offering value and all this sort of stuff. But I find the hype perplexing at times.
Like it's a new brand, like it's not. There's no provenance here.
Yeah, like and it's not like you're not looking at someone that's like, oh, okay, I'm the student of George Daniels, who was taught by Roger Smith, who had an apprentice, and there's got to be some. Not to be rude, like there's no inherent value in this watch, really, that matches up with that reality. But I mean, you could say that about the next watch, the Tudor,
Tudor Black Bay.
Sure, some sort of Black Bay. Ceramic
with the blacked out dial.
650,000 francs.
They beat their last one, I think. It was about 400.
And I also wonder how much of this is the brands bidding it as well, or
jamming it up.
Who knows? I mean,
it was a cool looking watch though. Like this looks like the finish on this watch and dial is it's sick. I like it. I'm a big fan.
Good to know though that so I've pulled out another couple of ones that we sort of talked about in the previous episode as the ones that we liked. The Tag Heuer, which was Monza. Was it the Monza? No, it was the Monaco.
I'm gonna Google quickly,
please. It was like a carbon blacked out sort of looking.
Dark Lord. It was the Dark Lord.
Yeah, so Monaco.
Yes.
Yeah, 290 CHF. Solid.
Good. This is a very cool looking watch.
One of my personal favorites, the Zenith, did very, very well. I'm a bit sad I didn't make another 20K Swiss francs on top, because that would have made it 500 instead of 480,000 Swiss K. But it's like the Philippe Pantone double tourbillon sapphire case rainbow explosion of a watch that, it's really nice.
Solid. Yeah. Solid. A Crivia? Now, if we are talking about someone with some big provenance and potential, 800,000 for this watch.
Boof. I mean, honestly, that's not. Yeah, I think that's probably a good shout. And also in the plus $1 million club, so we've got who made $1 million. FP Jean did, AP did, Patek, Debatoon also, and Richard Mille.
What was Richard Mille's only watch?
I don't know. They usually do a prototype of something like the one that the athlete wore. I don't know.
I think let's pull it up. Charles Leclerc prototype.
There you go. Okay. That's it. They're the ones that sort of accounted for the bulk of the value.
2.1 million for that Richard Mille.
Mm-hmm.
Who bought it? Drake? What do you reckon? Drake bought this?
Who knows? Someone bought it. So on this auctions, man, what do you think of them?
Scary, are they? There's just, I was dipping over at Philips and I'm seeing, not impossible to get Rolexes, saw a full gold root beer that sold for 44,000 US, which is more than retail over
just
there.
A new production
model, stuff that they're still making. The premium scares me. Like the first of all, the premium for buying it, but then the actual premiums, like the buyer's premiums.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
It terrifies me. I think. Oh, did we talk about the Bamford?
Oh no, the GP.
The Bamford GP, yeah.
Yeah, the casquette.
Casquette, that was 80,000.
That's for a quartz watch.
Very cool. And it just makes me think, like, there are the people out there that like are doing this. Yeah, they might be buying into the hype a little bit, but also I think they're genuinely trying to support a good cause. And it's I like that it happens for charity. I'm not as interested when it just happens,
Yeah, like that Amiga, I'm not.
If I had one of those, I'd be losing my mind. Like, if I had a nice example, like,
Yeah, sure. But I mean, for me, it comes back to that. Like I've said, I say it all the time. Like I can't. The Submariner is the $3,000 watch.
yeah,
And that's my mindset, and that's clearly not correct anymore. But I look at something like that, or any sort of historical example of a mass-produced watch with no uniqueness to it. Like, I mean, the one-off pieces for like Pink Dial or Only Watch, they make sense. Where, or say if that had been worn by an astronaut, I'd understand it. Whereas if it's just a nice example for that price, I'm like, eh. Whereas the Dufour, I understand that. I can rationalize that price a lot more because it's a work of art, and it's very limited output, and it's a known watch with a known place in the world, and where it was important at the time, and it's been important for the last 30 years or 40 years or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Just a nice condition old Rolex or Omega or whatever it is, I get a bit over that. What do you reckon?
I agree. But I do like, like Loupe, this Eric Koo's business. I do like the transparency and the way they are sort of trying to shake it up with those, lessened fees and the condition reports and all that sort of stuff. I think I've sort of cooled it on the buying and selling from a personal perspective. Like I'm not sort of like rotating through stuff as much. So buying something to keep it, I don't really think too much about how I'd get out of it. It obviously, like, this stuff attracts more people to watches, which is good. It's hard to miss news like this when it's
It is also that, I mean, I'm very aware of that. I'm sort of in that position of gatekeeping the hobby, so to speak. Like,
I just want to bring this up because I'm looking at this list of only watch results. Louis Vuitton.
Oh yeah,
220,000.
that was always a skull with a snake.
Nah,
was it the Ed Hardy one?
Nah, it wasn't the Ed Hardy one. This has got this is hideous, guys.
Send me a link. WhatsApp it to me.
I'm gonna WhatsApp it to you right now. I'm just gonna hold the line.
We're going to get a live react.
Yeah, this is
and he's typing.
The trunk is kind of cool, but like, oh my god, this is just
the trunk. There's a trunk.
Comes in the box.
Oh yeah, okay.
This is just gaudy.
I kind of love
it. Who
it.
paid $220,000 for this?
That's your GPC hawk right there.
That is just. There's nothing good about this watch other than the fact that the proceeds have gone to charity.
I kind of love it. I don't 220,000 Swiss francs. Love it.
I wouldn't pay $2.5 for it. Anyway, let's not get hot. Let's not get hot and heated.
Hey, another thing. This is I saw this article. And I've genuinely got interested in your more global market understanding of it. The stuff about is it Evergreen, the Chinese building company?
Shipping company, yeah.
No. Evergreen. What is it called? It's like they're like on the brink of financial collapse, and it's a massive, massive building company, like trillions and trillions of dollars. And the Chinese government is like sort of, hang on, I think it's Evergreen.
Send me a link.
It's real estate. Evergrande, sorry.
And what's going on with Evergrande?
People are saying, like, if they don't bail this out, it could sort of be a global financial collapse on the scale of 2015.
300 billion, I think they've got owing.
There you go. You're doing some Googles.
Big real estate developer. Oof.
But they're also saying, like, it would, be a real dent to that, like, Chinese market, which I think, we're seeing so much money sort of flowing from there into, luxury. Like, they're sort of the major buyers.
300, that's crazy. I mean, it's the same thing with like airline buyouts, right? We had that with was it Virgin?
Oh yeah, when COVID happened,
and that's like you can't shut. It's not as simple as sort of shutting this stuff down.
Too big to fail.
Too big to fail, as they say.
But yeah, I think the sort of the talk is like China might let it fail because that's
can't always get a bailout. That's the reality of life. And what's the relevancy here to watches?
Well, I was reading an article saying it's the first real threat to the Chinese luxury industry.
Okay, all right.
And which would impact global luxury in a fairly significant way.
Interesting.
I'll link it up. I'll find it.
We'll link it up. We'll see what happens. Well,
hopefully it doesn't. Well, I don't know. Who knows?
Hopefully it doesn't. And there's more auctions to come. Yeah. These are our
Andy,
takes.
that was our auction episode.
That was our auction episode.
No guests. We've got some guests back next week.
We do
But
have
thank
guests back
you,
next week.
thank you for talking through the pros and cons of lots and bidding with me. Thank you, of course, to G-Shock Australia.
Yes,
they are lovely people and
lovely.
You know,
Our favourite.
as far as sponsors go, they're certainly our favourite for this week. If you want to get in touch with us to suggest that we run a charity auction, you can do that at otthepodcast@gmail.com. You can bid on Instagram at ot.podcasts. Also, please do consider upping the price by sharing, subscribing, telling your friends, tell Oral
Join our
Bax.
Discord, of course. Join our Discord. We love having people.
Oral Bax is in there.
Might be.
We don't know. Well, we don't know what his username is.
The owner of the Paul Newman might be in there.
Yeah, definitely is.
Legally, we cannot tell you. NDA, yeah. We call him Phil. Felix.
Let's go.
Let's put a pin in it. We'll see these guys next week.
Bye.